Deep in the heart of the realm of chaos lies the Brass Citadel, an unassailable bastion of blood and fury, where Khorne, the chaos god of war, skulls, and blood, reigns supreme. This fortress of brutality is the material manifestation of the ceaseless hunger for battle that defines its master. Forged from molten brass and drenched in the blood of countless fallen warriors, the Citadel stands as a demonic structure that represents eternal conflict. Surrounded by an endless battlefield of clashing weapons, roaring beasts, and the screams of the dying, the Brass Citadel is an extremely dangerous and overwhelming place. To enter this domain is to forfeit any hope of peace. For here, only the strong survive, and even they must fight every moment to retain their place in the savage hierarchy of this blood-soaked realm. But could anyone, mortal or otherwise, truly endure such a place? Could a single day be survived in this crucible of violence, where mercy is as alien as magic, and war is the only law? In this exploration, we will uncover the nature of the Brass Citadel, the challenges it presents, and the toll it would take on anyone daring enough, or unlucky enough, to step within its brutal boundaries. So ask yourself, could you survive a day in the Brass Citadel of Khorne? The Citadel of Khorne looms as a towering fortress inside the realms of chaos. Its walls are forged from brass that gleams with the glow of unending conflict. Every inch of this stronghold exudes a primal hostility. From its jagged battlements to the rivers of searing liquid that flow around its base. Within its walls, no peace can ever be found. Only the ceaseless roar of warfare and the insatiable hunger of those who dwell there. The outer realm of Khorne is encircled by an immense barrier. It is a sheer cliff, forged from the darkest crimson and blackened iron. Its surface etched with the scars of countless battles and the remnants of desperate attempts to breach it. This monolithic structure, named the Bastion Stair, stretches endlessly across the horizon, a boundary that dares all who gaze upon it to challenge entering the realm of the Blood God. Between the outer walls and the Brass Citadel itself, the ground is a wasteland of rocks, shattered bones, and congealed gore, patrolled by the relentless flesh hounds of Khorne, who were ever hungry and ever ready to leap onto any promise of fresh meat. These fearsome beasts, their maws filled with jagged teeth, pace hungrily, snapping at ancient bones as they await fresh prey to tear apart. Could anyone cross this gruesome threshold and survive the fast and relentless creatures that guard it? Or would they become yet another trophy for the Lord of Skulls? The Brass Citadel's moat is a seething river of boiling blood that comes from the countless victims claimed in Khorne's endless wars. The rivers are endless. Iron gargoyles leer from every parapet, their snarling visages alive with hatred. Their eyes glint like embers, and their hollow bellies churn with molten metal, ready to spew their fury upon any foolish enough to approach. These are only the initial dangers that one must face when entering the feared Citadel of Khorne. Surrounding the Brass Citadel, one can also find bloodletters. These creatures are the demonic foot soldiers of the chaos god of war and blood, and they are the physical manifestation of his relentless fury. These fierce creatures are summoned to battle as Khorne's enforcers, spreading carnage wherever they go. However, they also roam the realms of chaos, ever thirsty to go to war for the sake of spilling blood and gaining the attention of their master. These are completely rage-consumed souls with no chance at redemption, and they are blinded by an uncontrollable fury to fight. Bloodletters are sinewy, red-skinned beings with razor-sharp horns and fangs, wielding massive hell blades that sear through armor and flesh with supernatural ease. They are disciplined warriors compared to the demon minions of other gods, fighting in tightly organized ranks as they chant blood-soaked battle cries and otherworldly dialects. They chant as they fight and tear their enemies apart. Their sole purpose is to claim skulls for Khorne's throne and draw blood for the blood god. For a mortal to make it far to the Brass Citadel is an almost impossible feat, as the fortress is a crucible of unending violence and relentless trials. The very air is oppressive, thick with the scent of iron and the heat of molten brass, sapping strength with every breath. Beyond the boiling moat lies a battlefield where warriors, both mortal and immortal, clash endlessly in a brutal quest for supremacy, their skill and savagery growing with each encounter.
I am violence. I am war.
Once a mortal ventures deeper into the realm of Khorne, or sets foot within the Brass Citadel, they are faced with a brutal series of trials designed to test their endurance, strength, and worthiness in the eyes of the chaos god of war. Each step forward demands the mortal to confront endless waves of enemies, bloodletters, flesh hounds, and even other warriors driven mad by bloodlust, all fighting to claim their place in Khorne's favor, to try and advance further, or simply to survive. Legends say that there are warriors in that realm that are said to have been fighting since the dawn of time, condemned souls that are bound to fight for eternity. That is their torment, and that is the sole purpose of their damned existence. The trials are ceaseless, offering no rest or reprieve, for there is no mercy in Khorne's domain. The gods' disdain for weakness ensures that only the most ferocious and unyielding individuals can hope to survive. Innumerable beings have perished under the weight of these tests. Their broken bodies and scattered bones litter the halls and battlegrounds of the Citadel. Over countless millennia, the cries of those who fell echo through the fortress. Even those who endure the physical trials are tested further as their minds are pushed to the brink by the relentless carnage they see and the deafening roar of eternal war. The constant, desperate cries, pain-filled screams, insults and taunts from reckless challengers, and the incessant clash of steel in the battlefield can drive any sane man into full desperation. The ones who break under this pressure are quick to ask for respite, if for only a single second of peace. Yet there is no peace in Khorne's realm. There is only conflict. Many warriors, often known for their resolve and stubbornness, break down into tears and become truly deranged. And then, there are those who throw themselves into the rivers of hot flowing lava for the torment to end quickly. The cowards are quick to be put down by the edge of the sword or the crushing weight of a hammer, often wielded by another warrior or a servant of Khorne. These trials strip away all humanity, reducing the unworthy to lifeless remains, while propelling the few who survive further into a spiral of rage. Across the expanse of this chaotic battlefield, the jagged landscape tells the story of countless violent encounters. Deep canyons and craters scar the terrain, the remnants of brutal clashes, where some of Khorne's colossal demonic warriors fought one another, or the followers of rival powers. Occasionally, Khorne himself deigns to summon mortal champions to this realm, testing their martial skill in a gauntlet of unrelenting combat. Such trials rarely see the mortal emerge victorious, but for the few who endure, their survival marks the beginning of an irreversible transformation, a journey toward becoming something more, or maybe less, than human. As they fight, they crave more power, to be able to go further into the trials, or into the Citadel itself. But these powers come at a heavy price, and once a warrior asks for them, they are on a spiraling road to eternal damnation.
I am wrath. I am rage incarnate.
Within the Citadel dwell the Bloodthirsters, the towering greater demons of Khorne, each one an incarnation of unrestrained fury and devastating violence. These monstrous beings are relentless warriors, their only purpose to annihilate any who stand before them, and add to the growing mountain of skulls offered to their lord. On the battlefield, they are unstoppable, wielding weapons that seem to echo with the cries of countless victims, and are as huge as a full man's height. Some of these demonic weapons even bigger than that. Yet contrary as to many would think, the Bloodthirsters are not reckless berserkers who just jump into combat instinctively. They blend overwhelming physical power with a calculating and malevolent intelligence. They are tacticians of great skill, capable of reading the flow of battle with precision, the result of being part of countless battles across time and space. In the midst of chaos, they can identify weaknesses in their enemies' lines and exploit them with efficiency, showcasing why they are truly masters of war. The Bloodthirsters are meticulously organized into a brutal hierarchy, each rank bearing distinct titles and responsibilities. At the pinnacle of this fearsome order stands the first host, composed of 8 Bloodthirsters, Khorne's most trusted and powerful generals, whose mere presence induces all warriors within a wide radius into a berserking, uncontrollable fury, and can turn the tide of any conflict. What mortal could possibly withstand the gaze of such a creature, let alone its wrath in combat?
I beheld a raging beast, chained to that wall of bone by a brazen and bloody chain. Its every bellow shook the ground upon which I stood, its every utterance fulsome with the fury of war. As the demon's gaze fell upon me, it demanded with a booming voice that I set it free, that it might bring the glory of bloodletting to this realm once more. Momentarily, I considered the beast's demands, for an ally in that dark realm would have been a welcome thing. But then, I realized the folly of such a course. The demon had no place in its black heart for loyalty to one such as I. Rage was its only master, and slaughter the only companion it would ever acknowledge. I left that place with speed, and prayed that the chains would hold till I was gone.
It is said that one could speak with a Bloodthirster, for these towering lords of carnage are fluent in every tongue spoken by mortals, knowing every dialect and inflection with unnerving precision. Yet this offers no salvation to those who encounter them. Their words are as sharp and cruel as the weapons they wield, for their purpose is singular: to destroy the world in a tide of fire, leaving its lifeless husk as an offering to Khorne. Bloodthirsters are most often bound within the turbulent confines of the realms of chaos, their immense power chained by the boundaries of their cursed dominion. However, these monstrous beings can only cross into the material world through massive rifts, breaches in reality that are rarely subtle or inconsequential. Such transitions are typically tied to catastrophic events, wars of apocalyptic scale, or the desperate invocations of mortals seeking power beyond comprehension. When these rifts tear open, they unleash not just a creature of destruction, but the fury of Khorne himself, made into flesh and into a creature that exists solely to spread ruin. Among the ranks of Khorne's most fearsome servants, few are as notorious as Angarath, the Unbound. Towering above even his fellow Bloodthirsters, Angarath is a living embodiment of Khorne's relentless wrath. Summoned only in the direst and rarest of moments, his arrival heralds unparalleled destruction, as few realms can endure his presence without succumbing to utter ruin. In the hierarchy of Khorne's demonic legions, Angarath stands at the Blood God's right hand, closest to the fabled Skull Throne. Angarath's rise to this exalted position came after Tzeentch's cunning intervention led to the downfall of Khorne's former champion, Skarbrand. Once Khorne's favored slaughterer, Skarbrand was deceived by Tzeentch into betraying his master, an act that saw him cast out of Khorne's realm and condemned to eternal exile.
I am Skarbrand, the Unforgiven.
With Skarbrand's disgrace, Angarath ascended as Khorne's most trusted and ferocious servant, securing his place as the Blood God's mightiest general. Another Bloodthirster, not as well known, but still a ferocious and powerful being. During the climactic defense of the Great Vortex Ritual, during the first incursion of chaos into the mortal world, when the mighty Anarian had faced and defeated 3 of the mightiest greater demons sent by the Chaos Gods, a 4th champion emerged to challenge him, Hargrim. This monstrous demon was dispatched as the ultimate weapon of chaos, a being of unrivaled ferocity. Upon his arrival, Hargrim wasted no time in demonstrating his power. With his searing axe, he inflicted a grievous wound upon Indraugnir, the noble dragon who had faithfully carried Anarian through countless battles, striking the great beast a second time before turning his wrath upon the Phoenix King himself. Hargrim's strength was immense, his blows so devastating that they began to pierce even Anarian's enchanted armor. It seemed as though chaos would claim victory on that legendary day, as the demon raised his weapon to deliver the final strike. But in a desperate, last act of defiance, Anarian summoned the last reserves of his strength and wielded the dreaded Sword of Cain with deadly precision, cutting Hargrim in 2 and ending the demon's rampage. With Anarian's sacrifice, the ritual was successfully completed, creating what would become the Great Vortex, and thus saving the mortal world from being overrun by the raw powers of chaos and the demonic manifestations that it created. As we have established, within the ranks of Khorne's demonic legions, Bloodthirsters are divided into 8 distinct tiers, each with its own duties, titles, and hierarchy. As the tiers descend, their numbers increase, creating a brutal hierarchy where every Bloodthirster fights for dominance. Ambition is encouraged, for any Bloodthirster can challenge a higher-ranked demon to combat in the Bloody Pit, a colossal arena forged from brass and obsidian, where only the strongest can emerge victorious and claim their new rank. The third host, for example, known as the Wrath of Khorne, is renowned for its warriors who wield devastating chain flails and axes. Adorned with jagged crowns inscribed with dark runes that speak of terrible feats and heretical legends. These Bloodthirsters embody the relentless fury of their master. By contrast, the 8th host, called the Unfettered Fury, is composed of Bloodthirsters who carry ancient axes, their blades stained with the dried blood of countless victims from millennia of ceaseless combat. Each tier of this fearsome hierarchy reflects a different aspect of Khorne's endless hunger for blood and skulls, ensuring that every warrior is bound by their thirst for power. The warriors who actually manage to somehow pass these trials are granted the opportunity to descend deeper and deeper into the Brass Citadel. However, by this point, their minds are usually consumed by unrelenting rage and the absolute desire to slay more and more adversaries. But what lies in the deepest parts of the Citadel? Deep within the Citadel lies the Bloody Pit, a colossal arena where the fiercest Bloodthirsters clash in brutal combat to prove their strength and rise through Khorne's unforgiving hierarchy. This pit carved from jagged brass and blackened stone, serves as the ultimate proving ground, embodying Khorne's creed. Honor and power are earned only through raw might and relentless combat. Here, demons of unimaginable ferocity test their skills and endurance, their every strike and roar echoing with the promise of dominance or the despair of defeat. Armed with a wide variety of weapons and exotic armor, coming from all corners of the world and places beyond imagination, thousands of warriors from all paths meet in the bloody pit to settle who truly is the mightiest of them all. Each battle fought in the pit is a savage display where only the strongest are deemed worthy, and the weak are cast aside to fuel the unending cycle of bloodshed. According to scholars, theogonists, and the blood-soaked tales of battle-worn survivors who claim to have glimpsed the citadel, it is said that Khorne himself resides within a colossal vault at the black heart of the central keep. Here, 8 towering iron pillars stretch into the shadowy abyss above, their immense forms supporting the unimaginable weight of the throne room ceiling. Each pillar is engraved with one of Khorne's sacred commandments, edicts that glorify the unholy virtues of rage, mastery of combat, and unyielding defiance. At the center of this vast and oppressive chamber sits the Blood God upon his skull throne, a massive brass seat embedded atop a gigantic mountain of countless skulls, each a trophy claimed from the fields of battle. Below the throne stretches a grim and jagged carpet of splintered bones. These shattered remains are the offerings of countless champions, each shard of bone a fragment of those who fell beneath their blades in Khorne's name. The throne itself is often depicted as a grandiose structure that radiates power and menace. It serves as a literal and figurative seat of authority for Khorne, who is often portrayed as a colossal figure seated upon it. The phrase that is often said by Khorne's followers, "Blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne," is a battle cry encapsulating their devotion. Worship is conducted on the battlefield rather than in temples, as Khorne demands bloodshed as a form of reverence. As we go deeper and deeper within the blood-soaked halls of Khorne's Brass Citadel, it becomes clear why no mortal could hope to survive within this merciless realm. Every step is fraught with danger, from the searing rivers of boiling blood to the endless trials of combat against demonic foes and other warriors seeking to prove their dominance. In Khorne's domain, there is no rest, no reprieve, only the expectation of battle and the constant threat of annihilation. This is a place where strength rules supreme, and the weak are destined to perish. Their remains are added to the ever-growing monument of Khorne's conquests.